Hi, everybody. I see we have some people joining the room. We'll give our guests another minute or two to join the line. All right, I see we have a good number of people streaming through, so I'm actually just going to kick this off. I'm sure we'll have a few more join. But welcome to today's session. Thank you for joining us. If you haven't joined one of our Work Talk sessions previously, we hold these every month. These were created to give our users, our partners, anyone in the Quali community a chance to see what's new with Torque, to get a first-hand look at how the product works. And we usually try to use this to show some of the latest capabilities in the platform. Just a little housekeeping to start. These are informal sessions, right? So please feel free to submit any questions you have along the way. I will be keeping an eye on those, monitoring the questions, and we'll make sure that our speaker takes some time to answer them. And our speaker today is David Ben-Shabbat. He is our VP of R&D. We refer to him as DBS throughout the company, and he knows just about everything about Torque. So if you have any questions, he should be able to answer them. DBS, I think you're good to take it away.
Thank you very much, Colin. Appreciate that you're having me here. Okay, so let's jump right into it. So today we're going to talk about Cloud Curate, which is just one of, I would say, the capabilities that Tor platform has to offer. What I would like to do today is to kind of run through, I would say, the three major value chains that Torque has to offer, just to kind of reiterate and remember, what it's all about. It's basically kind of a 1, 2, 3 journey. Today, obviously, we're going to focus on Curate, but we're going to take a glimpse of what self-service means and what is operate within Torque. Once we'll kind of stop and talk about the Curate, we'll have obviously demo. We're going to even kind of go a little bit technical, maybe even see some code. I don't want to get you scared too much. And then we're going to wrap it up and kind of leave room for questions. So essentially, when we look at what Torque provides you is first tapping into your existing, I would say, resources and help you curate them. And resources is cloud resources, whether those are already kind of provisioned using code or just ClickOps using the console, or you just inherit them somehow. Or just tapping into your existing automation, subsume them, make sure that you have a nice kind of view, holistic view of what is being used, where and how, right? Everything should be able to connect together to a blueprint and an environment that you can obviously have as a self-service to end users to consume. This is where I would say the self-service piece actually falls into place, where you can have a really clean catalog item for end users, whether those are for just ad hoc operations or on the cloud without giving the keys to the cloud, or something that is more comprehensive, like I would say a 3-tier application or a full kind of staging environment for testing, or whether that's just lab for AI training purposes, right? So that is obviously big part of what Torque has to offer. And on I would say the operate side, we have the two personas, the end users that can have a very simplified glimpse of the resources and the, I would say, workspaces that they need on a daily basis to operate on top. And for the platformers, we have, I would say, all the day two activities associated with managing infrastructure and application, which usually tends to be like continuous upgrades, patching, I would say, certain automation from health checks to scale to whatever necessary to make sure that everything kind of runs smoothly, right? Obviously, put on top governance, which again comes when you plug Torque and manage your environments with, meaning enforcing policies, consistent tagging, and this is for obviously later sessions. We can deep dive on that aspect. Today, we're going to focus on this, I would say right section, which is the curate piece, which usually it's where you subsume all your existing resources and automation, right? When I say focus on that, we will make sure you understand it. We will cover at least the first, I would say, aspect of it, which is looking at your cloud, make sure that is visible, make sure you understand what do you need to do in order to manage all the resources, what the benefits are of doing so, and how easy it is to do so. So this is kind of the first piece that we're going to focus on today. Obviously, there is we always kind of treat it as the bottom piece, but it's just because we're looking at automations from below and resources from above. But again, it's just tapping into existing resources, existing IaC and automation using repositories, discover those building blocks that you have into a really nice defined kind of curation list of blueprints. With that said, let's jump to a demo. Okay. So we're in the Torque platform, and I have two tabs open. Essentially, I have the Torque tab. Right now, I'm on the account center in my operation hub, where I have all my live environments running resources. Makes you very accountable to what is running where and how you can access very easily what is required, some updates and drift remediation, etc. It's a very easy view for the DevOps and platform team to use. On the top, I have my kind of cloud as an admin, right? My AWS, for instance, for showing you how it's actually behind the scene looks at the cloud level. But when it comes to Torque, sometimes you don't want to go and kind of search for all the instances or all the S3 buckets or, I don't know, SQS queues. You do want to get it on a high level kind of view. This is where the resource inventory comes into place. And this is the first piece of cloud curation that we're going to talk about. So in this resource inventory screen, you're able to get like a high level view of your resource types, location. And I would say, oh, sorry, obviously there is sometimes demo gods are with you, yes or no? And yeah, let's just wait for a bit. Okay, good. So we're back. So we do have a, yeah, I'm checking my VPN as well to see. Okay, good. So we do have a way to understand the IaC status in your organization. As I'm sure that some of you have this policy, we need to automate everything. It needs to be consistent 100%. In real life, this is not the case, right? So you're ending up looking at your cloud accounts and trying to make sense of it and trying to understand what is ready to operate, what is consistent, what is governed, right? So one way of looking at it is just plugging your accounts to Torque and let Cloud Curate kind of discover those assets for you. You will be able to see the names of the resources, the ownership, and also the tags of, is it consistent or not? Unmanaged means, someone just did that manually without any automation. Codified will mean some automation was involved. Maybe it was just Kubernetes just spinning up resources on your behalf, or you did it using, for example, Terraform, which is great, or any other tool that you have. It's definitely codified, not necessarily means that it's managed. Whereas managed mean that you provide on top the full, I would say, value of governance, consistent tagging, all the policies in an organization are being enforced. You can also provide a very safe day two operation for end users, like power on off of VMs, or just make sure that they're getting the suite of automation that you have lying around, like deploy and upgrade to higher environment, stage production, etc. So let's take a look at what you get when you start browsing through this curation list or resource list before curating them. You will be able to get some information about the resources, some availability of tags. When you look at managed resource, you will be able to see that Torque actually provides you with a very comprehensive list of tagging that helps you with not just visibility, but also cost tracking and compliance. So that is kind of comes out of the box when it's a managed environment or managed resource by Torque, right? Once you feel ready to start your automation journey, to say, or just import a resource, make sure that it's consistent, you might end up with, okay, so I don't have the code, the automation code that does that. So how can I achieve that? So let's take a look. Let's filter on instances. Good. And I see that I have a bunch of instances already. Some of them are codified, some of them are managed. Let's pick the unmanaged ones. And I would say, let's maybe take a look at this guy here, right? This is a VM. I can always go and kind of search for it in my console. I will show you in a minute how I do that. But essentially, I'm gonna go check the tagging. Maybe I see that it's not really managed. Let's move to AWS. Let's filter by it. Here it is. So I do see it. It's kind of doesn't have really much to say, but it is stopped, which is good. We sometimes look at an organization that has thousands of VM and compute, running without even knowing, just waste a lot of money and resources. The attack surface for the cyber team is very important here because we don't need it up and running. So let's add that to our collection. Once I add a resource to my Curate collection, I am able first to kind of view my collection. I can have more resources. I can compose environments that are more than just this instance. I can have it with S3 bucket, with some VPCs, whatever. And once I feel ready to proceed and to manage that using Torque, I have a few ways of going. I'm going to choose the way of just curate that and codify it. Once I codify it, Torque agents are kind of looking at the resource level, make sense out of it, create configuration code out of it. We have few ways or flavors of code that you can generate. I chose the Terraform version. And in less than a minute, we'll get a zip with Terraform code in it. That code is yours, right? This is your IP. You can go ahead, use it later on in your existing automation. So Torque definitely provide that for you, and this is it stays at you. So I'm going to go ahead and download that zip. And once I'm downloading that zip, let's see. I would like to switch to a view where you will see what was generated, right? So give me 2 minutes or one. Okay. I'm guessing you're not seeing my screen just yet. I apologize for it. Give me 1 more second. Okay. Here you go. Okay. So this is where it gets, a little bit technical with some code, but we'll manage when we're going to power through. So I download this Ansible instance POC zip. When I opened it, actually in my curate kind of folder, I got a few resources. I got a Terraform backend. I got the provider, and I got Terraform code that is for my resource. I also got an existing state for that Terraform. If I it sounds like I'm cursing here. It sometimes doesn't. Doesn't matter so much what you're getting, as the automation and the process of making it managed is something that Torques also take care of. But if you do want to curate that, make sure it's part of your automation, it's really important for you to kind of take a look at what we're generating here. One of that is the Terraform state. I would say state of that resource, right? And once you're okay with what you got, and it seems like relevant, you can go ahead and start the process of importing it to Torque. You can do that by just using the UI. Right now, I'm going to run just an API backend because I'm already in VS Code to just import that to Torque. What happens behind the scene is I'm now importing the state to a backend, Terraform backend, which is the S3. Later on, I'm going to commit this code to my repo, which is my repository. And I'm going to import that into Torque running environment. It will look something like that. Okay, we're back in Torque. I'm going to the operation hub. And now I'm seeing this Ansible POC being spun up, right? This is whatever I downloaded, the code, right? And once it's importing, I can always go ahead and kind of check it out. I can see the log of it. I can see that now Torque add tags to it, right? Which is important. We also enforce all organization policies and make sure it's compliant. And if so, we're actually gonna help you remediate if there are any, gaps, breaches, and eventually you're ending up with a successful flow in an active environment. Now, an active environment means right now that first, the resource is being managed. Being managed means that if I go here to my instance and click on it, of course, I need to sign again, just a second. Always happening in demos. Okay, very good. Now, when I look at my VM, I can see that there are tags here, which I didn't have before from existing flow that we did from the import. That will also be reflected in the cost and waste detection that Torque actually runs behind the scenes. So you're getting that out of the box. The second thing that I can do now is to add collaborators. Now, when it comes to collaborators, and this is the good part, those can be your end users that don't really know what Terraform is. And I would like to show you how it looks for an end user, not an admin like myself right now. So let's jump to see that. Okay, now I'm in my user kind of view. I don't have a lot of navigation items here. I have only my self-service catalog. I have few workspaces that I can be part of, but I also see my Ansible instance POC that someone shared with me. I can go ahead and take a look at that. And here again, I'm getting a very nice, clean kind of view of my workspace, my environment, and I can see that I have my resource here. It's not Terraform. I don't know even if it's Terraform. What I can do now is basically kind of go and interact with that without having the keys to the cloud to log into AWS. Everything actually is being governed with policies. So the right action to the right role, to the right policy, to the right group. So RBAC is taken care of. I can go ahead and power on that VM straight from the UI. Also behind the scene, there are several policies that actually look at the behavior of those resources and actually recommend and enforce a scheduled power on off for resources to remove waste and to remove idleness. Once that will be over, as an end user, I will get links to connect to restart to that VM if I want to go ahead and kind of work on my POC for later use. But now you give access to end user very easily. At scale, you can manage all your mFRL or not consistent resources and to provide a very strong day-to and RBAC on top for end users. So if I go now to my AWS, and I'm going to share screen again, that piece, In AWS now, this instance that was stopped is now, it should be kind of running, which is great. And to tie everything up, when you go back to the Cloud Curate inventory, and you will search for instance. Oh, come on. Sorry about that. I have like gazillion tabs open on a different browser and it's getting back to me now, of course. I'm gonna just refresh. Okay. So I'm gonna go back and search for my instance. Obviously now it should be managed. So I'm just gonna search for, I'm just gonna search for the instance ID that we have. Just gonna grab it from the AWS. And now you can see that that instance is managed. Okay, so my Ansible POC now is actually a live environment with all the consistent tagging and governance that we can put on top. I think that this actually ties our demo regarding Curate. I will share again the presentation and then I will open up for question. So eventually, what we usually see is automation around how can I look at cloud resources, automate that, creating spaces, groups. So it's just, I would say, in your journey, IaC journey, you're getting much value from having the Cloud Curate assistant to codify your cloud, to import as a managed environment, and later on expose it in a self-service manner, whether you want to build on top of those resources or just provide a self-service access governed one to your end users. I think that this is at least kind of the first maybe series of talking about how to curate resources. As we just covered the cloud to managed environment, we will be glad, or I'll be glad to talk about how can we do it from just tapping to existing resources, meaning IaC as well, and codified or just leverage that within Torque and provision resources using that. Any questions?
Yes, thank you, David. We did get a couple questions. We also have a few more minutes on the line if anyone here wants to submit any others. The first question we got was about importing IaC into your Torque account. Basically, do you need to import the IaC you curate into your Torque account?
Good question. No, you don't have to. As I mentioned maybe earlier, it was fast, but you can definitely use that those codified configuration in IaC that we generated for you, to use later on. This is your IP now. You can go ahead and you don't have to import it into Torque. You can just provision it and use Terraform as a standalone if you would like that as well.
We also had a question, will Torque import policy files? I think they're referring to Terraform policy files.
Oh, yeah. So I think it's a big part of, why should you import or let's say have those resources as managed environment? So I think that whatever you already kind of set as policy to the organization or to different workspaces and teams will be obviously kind of enforced and be part of that environment once you import that, right? So yes, you can definitely import policies as well or enforce existing ones on managed environment after you're importing them using Cloud Curate.
That's right. And just as a side note on that one, sorry, David, but don't mind I editorialize a little bit. We do offer some out-of-the-box policy files in case you're out getting started on that. And I have seen our AI Copilot will generate policy files or policy code for you as well as in some cases. DVS, correct me if I'm wrong on that, of course.
No, you're completely right. Yeah, we're doing most of the heavy lifting in Torque in sense of providing you out-of-the-box policies, even some best practices and blueprints around how to provision certain stacks. And also, you can always use your English, whether you're super proficient or you just want to get started. You have the kind of blank canvas kind of syndrome. You can go ahead and ask our co-pilot to help you start achieving your goals. So yeah, for sure.
Great. And the final question we have here, just like I said, we have a couple more minutes. So if anyone has any others, please feel free to submit them. But the last one I'm seeing on in our Q&A, asking if you can import cloud resources that were created using Terraform.
Oh, yes, absolutely. The three, I would say, and we try to keep it simple, right? So the three types of resources that we see or saw in the curate were kind of unmanaged and managed, but in between there was the codified. And codified can be Terraform, Terragram, Pulumi, CloudFormation, Azure templates, Ansible even. So that it doesn't matter. We look at them, we let you know that it was based on some code. In most cases, we're even gonna spot and kind of show you those code pieces that you're using, and then you can decide whether to just continue with using them and still import it to Torque or just create new ones. Sometimes you would like to make many resources consistent to the same code, so you will decide to go with new version of code, but it's up to you. And to your questions, yes, you can definitely import them.
All right. Well, thank you, David. This was a great session. Thank you to all our guests. We had, looks like almost everybody here stayed for the whole event, which is great to see. We really appreciate you taking your time with us today. And a quick thank you to Corey on the back end here, just making sure everything works correctly. Be sure to join us next month. We'll also be sending the recording out in your inbox. You should receive it later this week. And visit quali.com to learn more. You can try Torque firsthand, the Torque Playground from Quali.com. Thanks, everybody, and have a good day.
Thank you.